Another headline in the news recently has been uh, uh, complaining about Brexit and the restrictions it's giving on people staying in Europe in their holiday home. This is nothing new. This is EU legislation. This is EU Schengen zone legislation and restrictions that have always been applicable since the Schengen zone was first introduced and have been refined and updated in 2019 and 2021. So the EU will apply the Schengen zone short stay rules for residency throughout any EU country that's in the Schengen zone and other countries that are in the Schengen zone, which some are in Europe and some are outside Europe. For more information and guidance, look at our website at projectpartnership.com, where we've got a feature on residency in the Schengen zone. Schengen zone is looking to be expanded. Croatia joined it this year. Romania and Bulgaria are close to joining it. And Cyprus wants to join it, but is not a member yet. But those short stay rules apply for EU and Schengen zone countries, which means that you're only entitled to be in the country for 90 days in any 6-month period. Now, this is a protection against criminal, police, or court actions for tax evasion. That's what it's for. Is to make sure that people pay a fair amount of tax, either in their home country or the country of residence, and they do this by restricting the movement of anybody that is not an EU citizen or got a right to live in the EU. So the Schengen zone, the EU allows freedom of movement. Freedom of movement is not necessarily the same as not paying taxes or breaking the law, moving people, moving drugs, moving criminal activity. All those things are designed to be protected. And the rule that applies within the Schengen zone is that you can't spend more than 90 days in 180 in an EU country. So this is nothing new. It does impact British people post-Brexit because the UK is no longer in the EU. Therefore, it can't be part of that. But if the UK had stayed in the EU and Brexit hadn't occurred, it would still have had to either join the EU Schengen zone like Romania, Croatia and Bulgaria, or apply to join like Cyprus, or choose not to join at all like Ireland. Now, between Ireland and the UK, they continue to have freedom of movement between the two countries, dating back to the 1940s Ireland Act. But for every other person that's not got this special Irish-British connection, you still have to have an entry visa coming to Cyprus if you want to stay more than 90 days, i.e. longer than short-term stay. So although Ireland has not joined the EU Schengen zone, you've still got that a short stay restriction rule applies if you're not from the EU or you're traveling into Cyprus and you want to stay for more than 90 days. The answer for anybody who's got a holiday home that wants to spend more than 3 months in any 6-month period is to get a visitor's visa or a resident permit. And that's where the complication comes in. If you have a visitor's visa and you're out of the country for more than 3 months, technically the visitor's visa is automatically revoked. If you have a resident permit, then EU countries are now applying requirements like having cash in the bank, 10, 20,000, or annual income of 25, 30,000 to validate the residency permit. So to move beyond the short stay restriction for the EU and the Schengen zone, you have to be able to validate that you can afford to live there on a long-term basis. What that doesn't support is people that want to spend 4 months at a time in a holiday home in France or Spain or Portugal or Cyprus. What it allows you to do is have spring in Provence and autumn in another country, but not more than 3 months at a time. So a British expat could have 3 months in Spain and then 3 months in France straight after that, but they can't have 4 months or 5 months in Spain or or in another EU Schengen zone country. So Cyprus is not in the Schengen zone at the moment, so that general rule doesn't apply. But the Schengen zone countries, which is all the EU countries plus a few others, so includes Switzerland, Iceland, and Norway as well. You're always going to be restricted to that 90 and 180 days. For more information and guidance on your residency, visitor visa, or residency permit that you need to support your lifestyle living and working abroad, contact us at proactpartnership.com.